weeks later.
Moving on to point number 2, something that was important for me, develop a routine. So with my job, I'm working Sunday to Wednesday. I work 9 till 6 on a Sunday. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm working on the Sunday. No time for church, I'm afraid, guys. But then Monday through to Wednesday, I work an 8 a.m. till 7 p.m. shift, although I get a nice little 6:30 p.m. finish on Wednesday, aka my Friday. And with this, I need to find some time to go to the gym. Now, I don't like going to the gym in the evenings. I find there's a lot of people that are maybe sat on their phones, a bit lazy. I'm not like that. I like to be sort of very military. On this note, I use an app called Heavy. Try using it. It's really good. You're able to edit your programs. It sort of watches how much weight you're lifting during that sessions. It shows you when you hit like a PB. It also shows you different plans from other people. You're in communities. People still like and comment on your posts. You can like take a picture of yourself to show that you've done something. And with this has been helping me create programs. But going back to the point is the fact that I want to go in the mornings. So with obviously starting at 8 a.m, I'm then waking up at 5 a.m. in order to be able to go to the gym. It's quite nice actually. It's peaceful walks in the morning. Nobody's really around. 20-minute walk to my local JD gym. For all those that go to the JD gym within Nottingham. Whoop, whoop. And with that in mind, I'm then, as I say, starting these routines in order to be able to get my fitness back going again. I've not really been a gym goer for quite a few years now, so it's been a good thing for me to start that off as my routine in the morning. I then obviously have my work, or then I have my day to go through from there, and that's then where my habit app comes into place, and you can time them as well. So then I have these things that I try and knock off, and then I either go to work or then I try and have a productive day. So whether it be looking after this YouTube or doing my other, yes, by the way, I had an intervention, but I've gone back to 1 or 2 side hustles.
Yeah, boy.
So maybe it be then working on my podcast, or I have been doing some social media content creation through TikTok as well. Now, just a note on that, those of you that are looking to do languages, although I use Duolingo, and for those of you that use Duolingo, you may well find that you do some lessons on it and then you're like, I can't even speak the language. I've been doing it personally for well over 300 days and feel like the Italian that I've been learning, I can read it, I can listen and hear it, but I feel like I can't say a sentence when someone puts me on the spot. I feel very on the spot and I sort of freeze up and not feel like I can be like, buonasera. So as a note on that, there have now been some AI introductions that use apps such as like WhatsApp, and you can have actual conversations back with AI. I've not necessarily got an app in mind or something that I can go and tell you about, but having said that, try them out, have a look. If you learn languages, you might well find that quite useful. Now, something that I'd just like to discuss here is Dr. Michael Bruce. I have found his book extremely useful. It's called The Power of When. He has been called in America, aka the sleep doctor. So he talks about in The Power of When as when to eat, when to sleep, when to drink caffeine, when to exercise, when to do everything. He categorizes people under one of 4 categories, which are all animals. I'm going to give myself a little boost here, ego boost, and say that I am a dolphin. And apparently, according to him, there's only 10% of the world's population that are dolphins. Little things that have helped me, for instance, like he states not to drink caffeine past 2 o'clock, and definitely not for a dolphin. It's helped me with my sleep patterns and living a bit of a healthier life. So go check out his book, The Power of When. It's been incredibly useful, and I'd like to know what sort of an animal you come back at. For all of you that are bears, I'm very jealous of you. You do get to sleep a lot. So this leads me on to my 3rd point, and what I've understood very much so that I mentioned briefly in my first video is to slow things down. And with this, not just quit your job if you're hating it. I mean, for those of you that are entrepreneurial may well have read that an entrepreneur can't work for somebody. I find that that is probably typically true. I've not really held down a majority of the jobs of my life for more than maybe a year and a half. I'm always job hopping, but I've also understood that you can't just quit your role. And I have also walked out of a lot of jobs, I'll admit, although funny enough, I've actually had good references then moving on. Maybe that's because I work hard and I kiss my boss's ass. I don't know. I'm not typically that sort of a person, but I do work hard, awfully hard. And I've understood now I can't just quit. I do need to obviously have that job security. Otherwise, you're going to end up homeless like me. So obviously with having less responsibilities, you need to make sure that there is still something there that keeps you in line and keeps you in check. I've understood myself there that that's incredibly important for myself. It's got dark. What can I say? Dreams bright. Now, moving on to point number 4 for me was for me to learn a little bit more about money. I've always followed a gentleman, an entrepreneur called Rob Moore. He's actually written the most sold book on money. It's actually titled Money. How ironic. With this, I have looked a bit more into money, looked back and reflected on my parents, who are always incredibly good with their money, and have understood that it is better to invest your money and not just save it and bank it for a rainy day, as they say. Now, I have found that also a lot of people, like myself, tend to pay their bills first and then pay themselves last. And I've learned that you should pay yourself first and pay your bills and everything else, your outgoings, after. So one of the first things that I do now when I get paid is immediately put 10% of my earnings to one side, and that's for me to then invest that. So although in a sense I am saving it, it is actually for purpose and actually for me to pay off either some debts, or it'll be for me to put some of that money towards then my trading education for future. Now, I've also been using an app for this as well. I find it incredibly useful. I use an app called Snoop, like Snoop Doggy Dog. It's the one and only Digo Double G. And with this app Snoop, it joins up all your different bank accounts. You can get it to sort of give you daily notifications where your spending limits are going. I quite often like comparing how much I've spent to the current day compared to where I was on the previous month, and then hoping to get that to a point where I'm spending less. It almost becomes a little bit of an addictive thing to do, but at the end of the day, it can't be negative for you. So go check out the app Snoop as well. Now, in terms of talking about investing, something that I'm doing from a point of view that's not financial is in making sure to invest in myself. Obviously, I've been saying that I'm now looking at my health. I'm looking at it from a fitness perspective. I'm looking at it from a food perspective. But thirdly, I'm also looking at it from like a skill perspective. So I'm doing an awful lot of reading, like I mentioned there, with things like Rob Moore, having even gone to seminars and events with him when I met the guy himself. And also I have been reading up on other people, other entrepreneurs that I've always been a big fan of. And then thirdly, looking more into furthering my skills. So whether it be like editing, as you might well see and notice, like I've mentioned, hopefully you'll see that this video has come an awful long way since my original one. That's because I've been working hard on my editing skills and like with my social media content creation through TikTok and Instagram. And then also my future skills with my investment through trading. So I've been learning now in terms of crypto and starting to take small steps and using little increments of my time in order to be able to start getting myself ready for my future trading education. So I've found that investing in myself has been a very important thing. Another thing that I've always been really good at is building rapport with people, building relationships. I come across probably quite or I'd like to hope, an easy person to speak to. I've been quite fortunate in having lots of different friendship circles. I've then built up really strong connections, and that's whereby, for instance, when I was homeless and jobless, I had these support networks that either helped house me or gave me like an intervention. And these have been good things for me, but they've all come from my network. So for me, it's been of quite important and definitely a reminder there that I need to build my network. They do say that you are the average of the 5 people that you primarily surround yourself with, hence why, like I say, I'm moving into this house and the people that I've surrounded myself with primarily, and then also the other people that I spend my time with casually or socially, being very important to me, and for me to make sure that I'm investing in the right sort of people, the right networks, and more so concentrating on that for the future. So not just looking at just the present now, but also how can I then further expand this. So like I say, when going to like a seminar for somebody like Rob Moore, there are millionaires, there are business owners, there are entrepreneurs, there's people that are willing to start them up or are just of interest in it, and you never know who you're going to meet. So getting yourself in these circles where you can, even if you're an introvert, just go online, go on Discord, take Alex Hormozzi's a school app and have a look at that. There's many different ways that you can get yourself into networks, start talking to people that have similar interests to you. And with the use of the internet these days, it's a lot easier in order to be able to find those sorts of people. So give it a try if you've not already. As a note on that, I'm going to mention, I did talk about my dad a little bit in the past video, and he has been quite a role model for me and has helped me with one thing primarily. Now, I will never forget us, say us, it was myself, my mum and me. I say me, I mean, I was just there, but they invested in a really nice lighter for him. It's one of those ones that you flick it up and then flick down the wheel. And I remember my sister getting an engraving that I really didn't understand for many years until now I fully understand it. It is an original quote by Isaac Newton, and it is, "If I have seen further than others, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." So as a youngster, didn't have a bloody clue what on earth that meant, but in aspect it is to do with your network. Obviously, having people around you that are maybe superior or better in some way than you in what you're interested in, being able to take their advice, being able to listen to them, even being around them, helps you then further yourself and better yourself. So a very substantial point there that is now stuck with me, something that I've even been contemplating. Do I sort of have it as a little tattoo as a reminder, not only for my dad's, but for something to remind me that it is very important for me to concentrate and keep pushing with building my network, something that's come, as I say, quite naturally to me, but it's something that I really enjoy doing as well. I don't know who doesn't like making friends at the end of the day. And if you just look at it as more of maybe an advancement of a skill, a use, then you can utilize it. And as I say, in the future, you never know how and in what way it may well help you.
Hibbity, 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 that's all, folks.